right. Hello, hello. Hey, everybody.
Yo.
You all act like it's hump day or something. You guys have hump days in well, I guess Bart in the UK is Wednesday hump day.
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly the same as it is in America.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. I thought for a minute people were going to be thinking I was talking about something else.
Not at all.
All right. Very good. We're about 4 after. It's about time to get going. A couple of items. One, it is, and to use my least British accent, it is lovely to see people on webcams. So very nice to see. Very nice to literally see you all. Hey, what today's the 24th. It's a hump day. We record our meeting minutes. We post them on YouTube. Don't say anything you wouldn't want your mom to hear, I suppose. If you're seeing the meeting minutes, Navendu put the link to the meeting minutes in the chat. So jump on in, put your name down. If you don't, fair warning, we've been known to just make up names and put them in there in the past. So you'll get a nickname quickly if you don't. Now is also the right time to lay down any topics that you might have. Questions, things to demo, work in progress, designs to cover, what's happening with the release that just went out last night, whatever those topics are. Just put them at the bottom if you would. And yep, and today we have a lucky winner. And that winner is Sakshi. If this is your first time on this call, you must go through the rite of passage of introducing yourself and saying hi. It's nice to have you. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about you? And you're not.
Hi, this is Sakshi. I'm from India, and I'm actually a pre-final year student, and would love to contribute to the Layer 5 community.
Nice. All right. And your favorite color is?
Blue.
Ah, okay. All right. Green is the right answer here. It comes in 2 tones, but you're forgiven. You're forgiven. So, and by the way, there's a lot of sarcasm that flows around the community, so you'll be dishing it out soon, I'm sure. Nice to have you, Sakshi. And by the way, is that enunciation of your first name anywhere near what it's supposed to be? Because now would be a good time to train my tongue on how to say that. But Aditi will correct me if I'm getting it wrong, so sure. Good. Okay, enough of harassing Sakshi. Nice to have you. We've got a couple of topics lined up today. And so let's dig in. Mr. Kumar, you're first at bat.
Sure, I'll I'll take it up. Right. So I'll be showing you the new feature that got released, which is, I'll give you an overview of it. Basically, we've designed a new operator, a custom Kubernetes operator for Meshery, which runs a couple of controllers to keep the cluster data or the cluster state in sync with Meshery. So, like, I'll just present my screen I'll take you to the demo before I say more. All right, my screen visible?
Yep, it is.
So this is my terminal in which I've got already have got Istio installed, but it's fine. So this is these are all the number of pods that are available in my cluster right now. I'm going to go ahead and start Meshery by using Meshery CTL. So it's just before we do that, we'll need to ensure we are in the stable channel. We kind of maintain two channels, which are stable and edge. Edge being the release that is of the master branch, and stable is being for every version. All right, so we've got the stable version now. Let's start Meshery.
Abhishek, I guess we'll see here in a moment, but did you say if you're deploying to Kubernetes or to Docker?
Sorry.
Or rather the context, the Meshery CTL context that you're using, is the platform set to Docker or to Kubernetes?
Oh, it's set to Docker.
Okay.
All right, so let me just sign in with my, I don't know, Twitter account. And here we go, Meshery dashboard in a bit. I've never seen Twitter API taking this long, but it always happens in a meeting. Yeah, we are in our dashboard. So I'm gonna go ahead quickly configure my kube config. So it says config validated successfully. And now we have this right side panel which displays you the state of operator uh, that that can be manually invoked, installed, and uninstalled. Like it can be controlled manually. But the default behavior is that when Meshery gets installed, the operator gets installed automatically. So this particular page is the control plane page. Right now, it doesn't show anything. The operator currently, it takes a bit of time to get started in the cluster. So let's go ahead and then I've displayed the list of pods to ensure that we can like basically track real time the state of the operator if it as and when it gets installed. So we can see that when Meshery got started, I did not click anything anywhere. So operator got installed automatically, and it's installing its respective custom controllers. So right now we have two custom controllers, which are a broker, which is used for which is used as a message bus between for transfer of messages between Meshery and anything that is inside the Kubernetes cluster. And the second controller is nothing but a mesh sync. Mesh sync is the backbone that makes sure that the cluster state is in sync with the Meshery's in sync with the Meshery dashboard. So right now I've got my operator installed. So if you refresh the page, it will show you the status of the operator and its respective controllers. It says active, active, and the name of the version of each and every component that has been running. So if we come to the dashboard, initially there was nothing that was getting displayed in here, but as soon as the operator was up, it shows you it automatically detected my Istio pods, and it is showing me the list of Istio pods in here. It will also basically, if I had some Linkerd or Kuma or any other service meshes pods, it would list them as well in a separate view. I can come back to that later. So the other part I wanted to show you guys was, let's say for example, uh, we are installing a couple of add-ons for Istio. Right now I'm installing Grafana and Prometheus, which we can make sure that the pods are getting created here. So I'm just going to show you guys that if Meshery was if Meshery was not running and someone installed this or someone deleted these pods from the cluster manually, the Meshery would sync state with them as well. And before we move to that, I would also like to show you that as and when you configure a different kube config, or when you switch a kube config, or when you want to remove the current kube config, what happens is that it would ask you if you want to uninstall the operator from the cluster so that it doesn't remain as a residue inside. So you can basically click on yes or no depending on what you want to do. So I just clicked on yes. So basically all of these components are removed. And yeah, so I'll go ahead and install this again and then show you that basically the stuff that we got just installed. Okay, HTTP adapter is, what happened to HTTP adapter? All right. It says running. Must be some networking issue, most likely. Not able to connect to my HTTP adapter. Looks like.
Are you able to talk to Kubernetes? Because that would.
Does it? Oh, okay. Yes, I think I just removed the kube config. I guess that's the reason the adapters got detached, probably. So I'm going to go ahead and do system start, or probably not.
Wait. Actually, no. I mean, this is good to troubleshoot, like to.
Right. So I'm going to upload my kube config again, so that.
Wait. Are you sure? I mean, like, you actually don't. So you're can you click on the chip, the Kubernetes chip?
Yeah, I did not reconfigure it. So basically, this is the thing that it finds from a default path, and that is not reachable. Yeah.
On that one, that's not the right one.
Yeah, that's not right. It's just a recipe.
Okay.
So I'm just go ahead and upload the right Kubernetes config and check if the adapters are coming up. So it says validated, and I'm able to ping it. Right. Yeah, that was the issue. So right now I'm able to ping the adapter, and I'm getting the dashboard here. This is something that can be noted, I guess. One of the issues. Anyhow, so as I have uploaded the new config again, the operator got installed again. It's getting installed again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually remove this Grafana with a manifest that we're using. So that would be, I guess. So okay, this is the play button. So I'm just going to remove this Grafana that is inside. All right. So as soon as I remove the Grafana, is it being removed? Oh, it's not removed. Something went wrong. Is this the right manifest? I guess. Now it says, which means it did not remove it. All right. So for some reason the manifest isn't working, but I can delete it manually with kubectl command. So Grafana is a deployment. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this whole deployment of Grafana.
What was the issue? Why is Grafana not being removed?
Might be possible that I'm using a wrong manifest. I was picking it up from Istio's.
Okay, but yeah. the add-on though. By the way, your microphone went out like
really?
about a couple of minutes back. I don't know if it's just proximity to the mic or what, but the do you know why it is that? So you were able to install Grafana through the customized add-ons switcher, but uninstalling it?
No. I'm deliberately not want to uninstall it. I wanted to delete it from manually from some other source and then check if the state has been updated.
Oh, you're just verifying that mesh sync works. Okay.
So right now we don't have Grafana here, and boy, there's definitely something wrong. All right. Mhm.
So actually, I mean, Grafana, if you go back for a second, I thought I saw Grafana listed in your terminal. Maybe I'm looking at an old output on the lower right-hand side. Okay, that's probably
No, that's a older.
Okay.
It's probably some issues.
So there's a couple of, like, the part of the question is
Oh yeah.
whether or not. Sorry, actually, your mic is probably. Like, part of the question is whether or not the database has, whether or not MeshSync has, done its discovery, and then whether or not the database is up to date, and then whether or not the control in the UI is. Yeah.
So the database is up to date because in my control plane, it's gone. Like as soon as I deleted Grafana, it went away. So it shows only Prometheus in here, which means there should be some minor bug with the switches, or probably it's.
So, by the way, for Bart and Vijay and Austin, and everyone else, but particularly those that are focused on the configuration wizard, this sequence that Abhishek is going through is a healthy review of sort of the sequence of dependencies that are needed to complete in order for Meshery to be healthy and connected to things. So this is kind of a nice review.
Yeah. So, and also for developers who wanted to make changes or who wanted to extend the Grafana's or the Meshery operator capability, they have a new feature in Meshery, which is the Meshery Playground, which is available at this particular endpoint. So if I refresh. Sorry about that. So if I refresh, and this is basically my GraphQL playground in which I can write some queries, and I can basically get output of it. So let's say, for example, I've got this control plane query in which I get the response of whatever's the live data inside the cluster. So that's one of the updates. And apart from that, I guess I covered everything mostly. Yeah, I guess that's it from my side. Any questions from anybody? Yes, Lee, the playground is protected with your users' authentication.
Good deal. Your internet's going in and out a little bit, but yep, it's protected. You said it's protected. Good. And then the other, can you do me a favor? And when you go to uninstall the operator, there's a modal that asks you to confirm. What was the language that was used?
Oh yeah, when I remove the kube config, you mean?
Oh, maybe I thought it was the operator, but it's okay. So wait, is this for the operator or for the kube config?
So when you remove or switch the kube configs, this ask is for the operator, basically to clean up the operator that got installed in the previous cluster or not.
All right.
So
and
if
then
I respond with yes, then it gets rid of the operator.
Gotcha. And then on the if someone so if you say, well, I guess either way you're going to lose your connection. But if you say no here, and then you go to the operator switch and switch off the operator,
it would uninstall ideally because a kubeconfig does not get rid of it. The Meshery does not get rid of the kubeconfig until or unless the page is refreshed and the instance is refreshed.
Makes sense. Good. From a user experience, this is okay. Good. All right. Thanks for that. I got some feedback for you. Who else has questions on this? It was good. It was a lot. There's different scenarios going on.
Actually, I have some questions. So in main.go, there was some logic after getting the from this from the environment variables, you get the kubeconfig file, then you get the context, and then so all that has been replaced, right? So you now have the code that's in mesh sync that you had something like attached adapters or something like that, and so that has been taken out and put in that has been replaced with this new code.
No, the answer is no, because we've not replaced the kubeconfig flow yet. We've just replaced the way it discovers elements from inside the cluster. Basically, whatever the resources that are inside the cluster is being it's been brought as a state inside our database, inside our Meshery's local database, but we haven't touched with the Kubernetes or kubeconfig flow yet.
Okay, that's fine. The other thing is, so based upon what the config file is in that that kubeconfig file is, you're getting the service mesh adapters, right? Is that correct? I mean, you're getting the Meshery operator, right? Is that correct? Based upon what?
Yeah, based on whatever the kubeconfig that has been configured, it basically installs the operator in that cluster.
Okay, so are there any configuration issues for the Meshery operator? The Meshery operator is determined, is configuration or existence or whatever it is determined completely by the kubeconfig file, right? Is that true or no? Is there anything that you can, is there any such thing as configuring an Meshery operator? Is this such a thing?
Yes, in terms of configuring their controllers, whatever the controllers that Meshery operator would manage, we would be able to configure them. But the kubeconfig is just used when you wanted to use when you wanted to install the operator, and it's not used anywhere else.
Okay, that's fine. So when you say that you're when you say that you're configuring the controllers, what exactly are you doing? Are you choosing between available controllers, or are you changing the settings for the controllers that for the available controllers for the existing?
Yeah, it can be both. So mainly it's basically the behavior of the controllers. It can also be that if you want to run that controller or not, and things like that.
All right, and that setting determines determines what Meshery adapters are discovered. Is that true or no?
No, operator flow doesn't actually depend on the adapters. I mean, these two are totally independent entities.
Okay, so when you the controllers they are syncing Meshery with Kubernetes, right? Is that true? So
yeah.
Okay, so in doing that, they're being able to discover what is available on Kubernetes. Is that true or not? So in order to connect to the service mesh, you have to have these service mesh adapters, right? Is that true or no? Okay, so
in order to do some operations in them, yes.
Okay, so how are these service mesh adapters being discovered? Is it through these controllers, or is it a different process? Where is it coming from?
No, so the discovery of adapters doesn't actually depend on it's not related to the operator flow at all. It's done by the Meshery. So like basically adapters in general are discovered by Meshery and not anything else.
But that attach adapters code or something like that, that is in main. Is that correct or no?
Yeah, we actually pass in the list of environment variables, listing the list of adapters that can be used for Meshery.
All right, okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else with questions?
Pictures always really help me, I should say. And in slide 12, 13, 14, mostly slide 12 though, is a good one to absorb and just sort of think on, or you know, the more detailed, this is what a deployment of the Meshery operator being deployed into Kubernetes, and the operator itself has like two components or three components, depends on how you want to think of it, but anyway, it has a couple of components, and this is what the deployment looks like. The sequence by which the operator is deployed and how it connects and how you start Meshery and what basically the sequence diagram by which Abhishek just demoed is this one. This is a data flow. It's like if mesh sync is running, interrogating Kubernetes, looking for service meshes, how is it funneling that data back? How does the user that's in a client, a visual client, how is it? You know, so these are good. This gets even more detailed. Probably a little bit of cleanup that we need, but this was mostly us, I think, tracking completion of the effort here. But so the deal is, of what you just walked through, by the way, this should be green now, right? Of what you just walked through, Abhishek, boy, it seems like we're kind of missing something like a, I don't know, like a installer, like a step through thing, you know, like kind of like a configuration wizard or something. Really, and so I don't know. Well, maybe someday. So what's next? What's our next topic? Oh, it's the configuration wizard. Okay, all right. Yeah, bad joke. But who wants to take it away? Who wants to talk about configuration wizard and where we're at?
Part if you want to demonstrate that, you know, the configuration wizard that you have.
Yeah, I'll show you the prototype now. Give me 2 secs. So this is where we're up to now. Just move that. So this will be the Meshery home screen. Basically, we've done it this way because I don't know, maybe there is a better way of doing it, but when I was running the development server on Meshery, the reloading was really slow. So I thought I'll create a React app to make it run a little bit quicker, so I can get the functionality quite quickly. And then once that's ready and everyone's happy with it, then we can move it to Meshery itself, which I think will be the next step. So the icon's not completely decided on yet. So this is just, there we go. And then we've got a little pop-up here. And then you can either skip it, don't show it again, or get started. And then you've got 4 different screens. First one's Kubernetes. Basically, if you don't connect to Kubernetes, you can't proceed. So that will be disabled until you've connected. And the next 2 are optional, so you can skip through them. There we are. I think that one's optional as well. You can also navigate through the icons. So if you wanted to go back, you could go there, or if you wanted to go here, you could go here. And then the last two are Prometheus and Grafana. And then you finish. So that's where we're up to so far. Well, that's where I'm up to so far. Like I said, I think the next step will be building that in Meshery itself and seeing how that works. How does that sound?
Oh, it sounds wonderful. Lee,
Yeah.
can I say a few things here? Lee, please go ahead and do you have any?
Oh, yeah. There's some couple of minor tweaks in the the visual styling that I think that Bart you're already aware of. That and yeah, pulling it into Meshery will is a great next step, because you inevitably something will you'll learn a few new things, or you get more familiar with the code base. It'll give others an opportunity to it's actually really fantastic that you've got a separate prototype up, because that is the easiest way for everyone to go understand what the heck configuration wizard means, like what that effort is and what it's about. It's a URL and they can go take a look. Like, that's fantastic. As you build it in, as you like start to put that into the Meshery UI, you might end up wanting to open up an early pull request so that others can build it, compile it locally and build it and sort of poke at it and kind of you all can test it out as you go. One item that VJ will be working on is like, well, what are the actual endpoints, the actual HTTP calls that need to be made from the UI to confirm that Kubernetes is in fact installed, and like, is it okay to proceed? And that in part ties into what Abhishek was just showing with respect to mesh sync. And so, and those little chips, those UI chips kind of being connected. I think there's, I think largely architecturally, or like largely the flow is the more that VJ sinks his teeth in, the more it's just congealing. Like, I think from my perspective, I don't see us necessarily deviating that much from what we have currently. And if we do, or if it did go deeper and was more complex, that there's always V2 for that, or V3 for that. There's always kind of you can bring it out in phases. It is intentionally simple, intentionally constrained in functionality. It's not powerful. One of the things that I've yet to see in the, Drew for Meshery UI. One of the things that I've yet to see in the mockups is, well, I think a couple of things that I've yet to see. So actually, Austin or VJ or Bart, anybody who's got Figma up, if you can bring up the mockups, a couple of items to point out. That one, I don't know that I've seen how we are consistently where we have the area where we're going to have confirmation information, like details of the fact that Kubernetes is connected. Here's a chip. Here's some server name. Here's a version number, or whatever that details are. So on the next step, okay, so there's some of it on the right-hand side. Okay, context name. Okay, if you go to use the other ones as examples. So if someone they get connected, like it looks like the mockup is incomplete, we're kind of moving it around in different places. Okay, this is an unconnected Meshery operator. If you keep going, get a connected Meshery operator. So we got details over there. So we're getting almost consistency with where we're showing the details. If you keep going, we support 10 different service meshes. So there's no design here for how something would scroll. So the designs look incomplete to me, Austin. If you keep going, we've also got confirmation data in the lower half of this card, well, that's, I guess this is the old design, and this is going away. That's confusing though, Austin, like that needs cleaned up. If you keep going. So I don't see where the confirmation data is for the service meshes. So that's incomplete as well. So Grafana here, this looks, incomplete. We've got I guess we've got the on switch. If you keep going, we don't have a mock-up for where the configuration data for those systems are. And in the configuration information, it looks like we're not going to show the chip, by the way, the chip, for all of you that are unfamiliar, is Meshery uses Material UI as its design system. And there's a UI component called the chip, and it's the oval shaped, it's the horizontally oval shaped button that we were seeing Kubernetes in Abhishek's demo. So I think we're behind on the design. That needs to improve and get clarified. That really helps drive a lot of clarity. VJ, request to you to use this for these are about to change. So the screenshots that you've exported, they're expired as of 30 seconds ago. VJ, one of the things we've got in here is, it's great that we've got a Google Doc. That's perfect. That's the normal way we would do a design spec. We also captured a number of notes in here about particulars with respect to each step. We might want to deduplicate that and maybe just extract all these notes, either finish off the notes and define all the behavior here, or extract them out and put them into the doc. Either way, just so that we're quite clear that there's one place that describes the behavior of the steps. So another piece of feedback. Oh yeah, so I think there's one. I mean, VJ is going to bring up a few different questions, but one of those maybe open questions is, this is a 4-step thing. It's supposed to be really simple. It's not supposed to let you do advanced things. One of the things I've yet to see is, okay, well, so if I do want to do advanced things, where do I do that? I don't see any links to the advanced. There's no the proverbial advanced button, the link out to the settings page. So I've talked about this a bunch of times with Austin. Austin, I still don't see it. So Bart, let me talk to you. Are you familiar with, you see the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner? For Bart, and yeah, clearly Bart, you do see the gear in the upper right-hand corner, but next to the, to the bell, the notification center. So the advanced, basically the answer for where does someone go to connect potentially multiple Kubernetes systems or multiple Grafana or Prometheus systems. Well, first of all, today, we don't support that. We only support being connected to one, I say we, meaning Meshery. It only supports being connected to one instance of any of those 3 things at a time. So one Grafana, one Prometheus, one Kubernetes, that's it. We want to change that very soon. Even when we do change that, this is supposed to be the simple interface. So I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't advocate for having multiple connections here. But my point is that if someone does need to have multiple connections or do something advanced or see more confirmation details than they are here, that gear icon in the upper right-hand corner that's the settings area in Meshery. And that's basically, it's a multi-tabbed interface. So there's a tab for service, we would want to just point them to the specific tab with an anchor tag on the URL or whatever it is. Okay, good. There was one other item, and that is for me, and that is there a step 0? Or is there a 5th step in here? I don't know that there is. If there was, so VJ's openly contemplating this, and that is, well, and by the way, is it Bart that's sharing, or yeah, Bart, if you end up going back to your to step 1, or if you go back to your prototype or whatever, yeah, if you keep going, or is there a step before this? Oh, okay. Yeah. So on step 6, it's labeled step 6, which also, Austin, if you could correct those, that would be great. Well, so Meshery server and Meshery, like, is Meshery healthy? Is Meshery ready to be configured? That's kind of the question about a step 0. Like, is the user and their environment ready to walk through a configuration wizard? Okay, if the user is here looking at the configuration wizard, the server is running, the UI is connected to the server, the user has been able to authenticate, like log in. So those things are well in hand. Okay. There are only like 2 other components to Meshery that they would need to be concerned with. One of the components is the Meshery operator, which they're going to deal with in step 2. So, okay, so that eliminates that concern. There's only one other Meshery component for them to be concerned with, and it's the adapters. And the question is the real question is, it's kind of 2 questions. It's like, do you have an adapter or multiple adapters running, deployed? Can Meshery server talk to them? And usually that's the only question, is just, can Meshery server talk to those? The vast majority of time will be that Meshery server can talk to those containers. Like the way that Meshery gets deployed either to Docker as a platform or to Kubernetes as a platform is that the Meshery server and the adapters are, I'm missing the right word. They're right next to each other. They're on the same network. They rarely cannot talk to each other. The times that they can't talk to each other, that's because we have a bad design. With respect to, this is a separate note maybe for Abhishek or Husseina or Navendu or all of you, and that is, there's this funky dependency that the adapters have on having a healthy Kubernetes connection. That needs to stop, and that needs to be broken. And so I don't know how many of you kind of followed all that, but my perspective is, with respect to step 0, we don't need it. Like, or let's go prove that we need it, like, and have people reporting that they're unsuccessful and they can't be, because otherwise the majority of the time they're going to be successful. If they can get to Meshery server, they can get to the adapters. We should eliminate the dependency that the adapters have on having a kube config. That's unnecessary. And so, yeah, that's Vijay, I'm back to you.
Actually, I put a couple of notes regarding this, for whatever it's worth, in that the document. Well, I mean, there are some minor things, like the chips at the top, use for navigation. So I think we have to be careful there, because there are precedence requirements. So if you there are things like going forwards and going backwards, and whether you have visited a particular place. Anyway, those are little things. And I was thinking, as far as the I'm not at all a UI expert, and not at all a product designer, but when I look at the UI, has everything been shifted to the left? Do we have space, too much space on the right? And we have the information below that icon that shows that you can use to upload the config file or any of the other things. That particular thing is at the bottom, and I feel that is not getting the amount of prominence, because that should be the first thing that somebody say, hey, listen, so they should, when they see that that browse button or something like that, they should get the idea. Looks like I need to upload something out here, or looks like I need to type something out here, or I mean, like I said, a lot of these things are dependent upon. I'm sure there is a style guide for Meshery, so maybe something that you follow there, and it's personal taste and things like that. But I have a few thoughts there.
Bart, any perspectives there on?
No, I agree.
I agree as well. Yeah. Yep. Hey, it's gotta hit you on the head. Like, what's the point of the configuration wizard? To help it's like to make people successful with starting to use Meshery, to like getting to the point where they can really use the power of what it was designed for. And so there'll be a number of users that'll be like, they'll see that message, hey, do you want to use the config wizard? And they're like, no, skip, no. And they're going off and doing whatever. There'll be many others that are like, oh yeah, I should probably walk through that, and this helps me. And to Vijay's point, it should probably smack them in the face with what they're supposed to do. I have specific thoughts, but I'll withhold them because it could be done a lot of different ways. To Vijay's point, like, and the way that it should be done is like in context of Meshery's design language, like in context of its design system and the paradigms by which the user experience has been created and defined. We're lacking a lot of that. There is much consistency between the interactions, and that's just been enforced as the community, as all of us have kind of created it, but we haven't really written that down. And so actually one of the new joiners had asked about the UI and what it's all made of and how it works. And we actually don't have a design spec called Meshery UI. So I created one quickly. I don't know, yesterday, the day before. Anyway, I'll point it out to each of you because it needs to be filled in, and part of filling it in is design language. I mean, yeah. So I should say, like, we're using Material UI. We should be leaning into its design language, and it has it, and it's really helped us. But the other aspect of design language, what I mean is system flow is the consistency and purpose by which we're using a given React component. Like if we're using a chip that we were just talking about, like what's that for? And are we doing it consistently? And in my mind, I'll say this is food for thought. I'll say this, and then we should probably, actually, we got to switch to Aditi. I don't think that we're using the chips consistently. We're using chips to represent things that components of Meshery, and we're using chips to represent elements that Meshery manages. Maybe that's okay. As we get into other UIs, the management UI, I think that might start to get confusing. So we can talk about that next time. Vijay, I agree. You're right. Like, hey, some of the finer points need to be called out. Like, are people going to be expecting to see confirmation detail? Why, when you load up the screen, why is it showing on the left? I don't know. Maybe if we were showing you a preview of confirmation details on the right, like you'd be okay with that because it would feel symmetric to you then, but it doesn't. Maybe if you don't have a Kubernetes connection and that's a mandatory step and you're going to have to do that before you can pass go, then maybe that slider, the expander part, maybe it should sort of slide out, and maybe there should be a little, like, we don't have this in our design language today, but like maybe there's a little bouncing arrow, or maybe just the input field is sort of pulsating in your brain, like like just a super thin outline that's just sort of very subtly lights up or something. I don't know, whatever those are. But to Vijay's point, like it's a highly curated experience, a highly guided, like there are guardrails and people cannot go off those, and you're forcing them to go through a step sequentially and stuff. And so as such, forcing them to do particular interactions is fine, because that's what we want them to do. They have to do. Aditi, there's like, 7 whole minutes to get to your talk. Vijay, there's probably more. I'll be responsive to the comments, and anyone else that has opinions here and stuff, please see Bart and Austin, Vijay.
Yeah, I will post it. I don't want to take up any more time, but I will post that on the document in general on Slack.
Nice. And then Aditi, yeah.
I'll start. It won't take long, just a couple. Hi, I'll start. It won't take long, just. Am I audible?
There you are. You are.
So the last few days, actually the last couple of days, I have been working on my second Meshery CTL PR. And so I wanted to end this meeting with what I call a beginner's look into Meshery. So apart from the documentation PRs, the first CTL PR I contributed to was pretty simple, but it involved adding the adapters flag to context. But to me, it solved like a significant, okay, not a significant, like a visible pain point, a visible problem. So it's after that I decided that yes, I definitely wanted to contribute more to Meshery CTL. So this current PR involves validating versions in the config.yaml file. An incorrect version in that file leads to a 404 in the meshery.yaml file, which can be stopped if we check for the version when we're checking for the current context. So the approach involves checking if the version adheres to a specific regular expression which was formulated based on past release tags, or it could be latest. And this involves using the Go regexp library along with standard Go as used in Meshery CTL. And I'm still trying to figure out the semantics of the final error being displayed, and I will try to demo it at the next meeting if I can. So this PR process included like a lot of back and forth, and it pulled me to higher standards with just 10 lines of code. And of course it was due to the senior community members who helped me a lot with it, like seriously a lot. And initially, my errors included some rather obvious oversights, such as misreading suggestions, poor naming conventions, and I'm still ironing out a bug in my code with by figuring out some details for the regex library in Go. And all of this in one PR was very enlightening for a beginner. If there's a pull request open currently, if y'all have anything to say about it after reviewing, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Hey Aditi, I saw the PR. Thanks for working on it. I made to take a final look at it. I think, yeah, it's good to see Anish and Navendu helping you out in this. We
Yes,
hope,
huge.
yeah.
A lot of the credit goes to them.
Welcome to Meshery CTL. I hope
Thank
you like it and contribute more. So do we have anything else on the agenda today?
I don't know that we do. I think that's about it. Aditi, that's fantastic. I heard all of what you had said as well. Yeah, it takes two to tango, or hey, it's not all, Hussein is pretty good, but it's not all on her. You're bringing it too. So I was just chatting with some of the maintainers about your activities. So very nice to see you presenting some of those. There's, maybe the last thought for on Meshery CTL is, well, the Meshery v0.50 release just went out. So we're into v0.60, and it's a healthy time to go take a look at the roadmap.md. It's in the Meshery repos root folder. It outlines what we think, are the features and functions to go into both Meshery upcoming and Meshery CTL upcoming as well.
Okay.
So design specs are in our future, I think.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Husseina, do you have anything else by chance?
I'm still working on the design spec. Yes, I hope to present it soon.
Oh, nice. Okay, sure.
And I did update the Meshery CLI documentation about the -y flag suggestion, which Aditi has mentioned, right? So
Got you. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yep. Yep. I did see that. Or I saw the fact that you would put something, but I didn't get a chance to read it. In part because what I was trying to say before is really true. Is like, it's a great suggestion. It's distracting from trying to get the Kubernetes platform done. And it's not distracting in a negative way. Like, it's a great suggestion. We should do it, and I think you guys already did. And so good. For my part, it's like I'm trying to keep the eye on the ball on. But
so there is one PR already opened by Aditi. So there are multiple commands which needs this flag to be added. So maybe one more PR or the same PR can be used to club everything together, or
yeah, Hussein, that's a great point. I'll leave that thought in your capable hands with Aditi. Okay, I think it could. I'll let you make that call.
sure.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I don't know that all of you have realized about adding those particular flags that's quite helpful, like really important, is when people want to script around Meshery CTL. People can script around or integrate with Meshery through the REST API that Meshery CTL as a client uses. That's just harder. Like, people have to write code then. It's a lot easier for the majority of the rest of us to just write a bash script or write a couple of command statements about that use Meshery CTL. And so, but if there's human interactive prompts that happen, then that messes up those scripts or can get in the way of those scripts. So having a silent flag or a force or whatever you guys ended up creating, those really help. So, as a matter of fact, Microsoft, the topic that we're not going to get to today is Drew was going to give an update on SMI, and Microsoft is asking to engage with Meshery, and they want to take on some of the work, or not take. They want to use Meshery, and we're going to suggest that they use Meshery in a programmatic way, and actually using Meshery CTL. It would be Meshery CTL mesh validate. So we need to make sure that that particular experimental command gets some focus soon. So I'll message about that in Slack, what that command is. Oh, and Dhruv's on. So yeah, Dhruv, Husseina and Aditi are here. That command runs SMI conformance tests. It's a good time for you to begin to work with these folks on advancing that command, because it's been it was only done experimentally, and it's going to need some help. Things have changed.
Yeah, sure. First, you need to evaluate what it does currently. Then you'll be able to see where to take it next.
Nice. Very good. All right. We started 3 minutes after. We're ending 3 minutes after. It's nice work on the config wizard. It's nice to see. It's good to see some stuff. Austin, you're behind. You will catch up, no doubt. And then, yeah, Bart, can't wait to see the stuff merged into, you know, the prototype going into. It's good. It's good. Thanks. See everybody at the community meeting on Friday.
Bye,
Good
people.
night, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.